Welcome to Sixers Talk Now. Let's talk some Sixers now. The Sixers had a pretty close game last night, man. We just, by the skin of our teeth, got by the Orlando Magic, who's not a very good team. But, that's kind of what happens in the NBA, man. It's hard to get up for every single opponent. I got to admit, as a fan, I was really hoping to see a bounce back on both ends of the floor, both being able to execute offensively and just the effort and energy. Like, our effort and energy was so damn bad against the Brooklyn Nets that I really expected us to step it up. And I got to be honest, having watched the game, I thought our energy was better. The execution still wasn't great, but I feel like our energy was better. Still not quite where it needs to be, especially on the defensive end. I mean, we found ourselves down 17 at one point, but the mark of a good team is winning games you're not supposed to win, right? Everybody looks at like the good teams that can get up for the big games. Those are the easy ones to get up for. What do you do on a Sunday evening playing in Orlando down 17? Are you going to just, pack it in and be like, it's not your night? Or are you going to step it up, find that dog inside of you and get the job done? And that's what we did. We ended up getting a win in overtime, a much needed win. So it was nice to see that. But what I really want to talk about is this James Harden partying story, right? Like there's been a lot of chatter about James Harden after us getting waxed by the Brooklyn Nets, losing by 30 at home in what was supposed to be one of the biggest games of the regular season. Once we traded Ben Simmons there, and the return, and the fans was going to be booing him, and this, that, and the third. Harden playing against the Nets again. There was a lot of hype around that game, and we straight up folded. And then we find out that night, James Harden goes out partying at the club with Lil Baby and Travis Scott. And there's a lot of people who feel a type of way about it. Stephen A. Smith went on ESPN and was like, pretty much like, yo, bro, I know Philadelphia fans. I know Sixers fans. They love you now, but you keep doing stuff like this and you're going to alienate yourself or become an enemy to the fans really quickly. And I see what he's saying. Like, I understand what he's saying, but I'm not really upset by it, man. Like, yo, these are adults, right? Like, these aren't guys that work a 9 to 5. These aren't guys that need to be up at 8 a.m. the next day. Like, it's okay for him to go out. Like, he's gonna get to practice the next day. He's gonna be ready to work the next day. And quite frankly, he ain't the only guy that does it. Now, the flip side of that is James Harden, right? So I guess I should say usually it's whatever. I really wouldn't feel a type of way about it. But the fact that it's James Harden, and James Harden kind of has a bit of a history of doing these things, that's what makes me a little bit concerned about it. Like, we were worried that we would get James Harden. He wouldn't be in shape. He looked out of shape in Brooklyn. He looked disinterested, looked like he didn't want to play. And then that night, he looked disinterested. He looked like he didn't want to play. And then next you know, he's out partying. Like, that's not a great look. But I think this is more having to do with James Harden's history of being out of shape, of not always showing up in big games. It's more of those things, like, you got to have this awareness. Like, if you're James Harden, you got to understand, like, yo, I didn't play well. I know my rep. And I know if I go out and I do this, people are going to feel a type of way about it. But it's his decision. He's an adult. If he want to deal with that, he can deal with that. So am I stressing? Am I really that upset that James Harden went out to party with Lil Baby and Travis Scott after losing by 30 in a regular season game? Nah, I'm not really tripping. Like, there is a part of me that's like, come on, James, like, you got to know better because of who you are. Not because of what you did, but because of who you are. But overall, it is what it is, man. Like, are you going to show up the next day ready to work? If you are, cool. If you're not, that's when it becomes a problem. Looking forward to the playoffs, however, I do not want to hear stories in the playoffs if we lose by 30 that James Harden went out and party. Hell, I don't want to hear stories during the playoffs if we win by 30 and he's going out partying. I don't want anybody on the Sixers to be partying after a game in the playoffs unless it is after a game in which we secure ourselves a title. If we win a championship and they want to go party, I might end up being there. I might try to get in the club with y'all. You feel me? But until then, I don't want anybody going out and partying in the clubs after any playoff games, especially if we end up losing by 29 like we did against Brooklyn. So big deal, small deal. I say this is kind of a small deal. In the playoffs, it will be a major deal. So it's something we definitely got to keep an eye out for as we get into May and June. What do you guys think, man? Sound off in the comment section below. Do you feel a type of way about James Harden going and partying after a 30-point loss? Or are you kind of like me where it's like, yo, he's an adult. It's a regular season game. Let's just make sure this doesn't happen in the playoffs. Let me know in the comment section below. If you made it this far, don't forget to like the video. And of course, if you're a Sixers fan like I am, subscribe to the channel for more of this high quality Sixers content. And if you want to know why I think Tobias Harris is the key to us winning the championship, and Tobias Harris did ball out yesterday, y'all. By the way, I posted this video before he balled out. Just saying, if you want to know why I think Toby is the key to a championship, go ahead and click that video right there. And make sure you always stay locked in, Sixers Nation. Sixers Talk Now. Peace.